What if I told you that on September 12th, 2036, the entire internet went dark for millions of people across the globe? Not from a cyber attack, not from solar flares, but from something far more unexpected. A simple human error that accidentally conducted the largest real-world experiment on digital dependency in modern history. By the time you finish watching this video, you'll understand exactly how fragile our connected world really is, and why this one mistake revealed truths about human behavior that tech companies are still studying today. Picture this. You wake up, reach your phone, and nothing loads. No Instagram, no WhatsApp, no Google. Your smart TV won't connect. Your laptop shows error messages, and even your GPS stops working. This isn't science fiction. This actually happened, and the results were absolutely fascinating. But before we dive into what went wrong that day, let me ask you something. When was the last time you went an entire day without the internet? I'm talking about completely offline. No sneaky phone checks, no quick email glances. If you're like most people watching this, you probably can't remember. That's exactly why what happened in September 2016 became such an incredible window into who we become as a society. The story begins with a company most people have never heard of, but one that quietly powers a massive chunk of the internet. Dyn, a domain name system provider, essentially acts as the internet's phone book. When you type in a website address, companies like Dyn translate that into the actual server location where that website lives. Think of them as a GPS system for the entire internet. On that September morning, Dyn's engineers were performing what should have been routine maintenance. These kinds of updates happen constantly behind the scenes, usually without anyone noticing. But this time, something went catastrophically wrong. A single misconfigured update began cascading through their entire network like digital dominoes falling in sequence. Within minutes, major websites started disappearing. Twitter vanished first, then Netflix, then Amazon. PayPal stopped processing payments. Spotify went silent, and even government websites became unreachable. The outage spread like wildfire across continents, affecting an estimated 50 million users in North America and Europe simultaneously. But here's where the story gets really interesting. This wasn't just a technical failure. It became an unplanned psychological experiment on a scale never seen before. Researchers later called it the closest thing we've ever had to a controlled study on internet dependency, and the results were mind-blowing. Within the first hour, emergency services reported a 300% increase in calls from people asking if their internet outage was part of a larger emergency. Hospitals saw a spike in anxiety-related visits. Coffee shops with working Wi-Fi became packed beyond capacity, with people literally camping outside businesses just to get online. Social media platforms that were still functioning became flooded with reports, theories, and increasingly panicked messages. The hashtag outage apocalypse started trending on platforms that weren't affected, showing just how quickly fear can spread when our digital safety nets disappear. Universities documented something remarkable happening on their campuses. Students who couldn't access online resources for the first time in years were forced to visit physical libraries. Librarians reported the busiest day they'd seen in over a decade. Some students didn't even know how to use the card catalog systems, having never needed to research without search engines. Productivity in offices that relied heavily on cloud services ground to a complete halt. But something unexpected happened in workplaces that weren't as digitally dependent. Employees reported having more face-to-face conversations that day than they'd had in months. Meeting rooms that usually sat empty because everyone was on video calls were suddenly buzzing with in-person discussions. The economic impact was staggering. E-commerce giants lost an estimated $45 million in sales during those 6 hours. Streaming services saw their subscriber satisfaction scores plummet. But traditional businesses experienced something they hadn't seen in years: increased foot traffic. Bookstores, music shops, and even movie rental places reported their best day in recent memory. Meanwhile, the engineers at Dyn were working frantically to fix what they quickly realized was a nightmare scenario. Every attempted fix seemed to create new problems. Their redundant systems, designed to prevent exactly this type of failure, had all been affected by the same configuration error. It was like trying to repair an airplane while it was crashing. The psychological effects were perhaps the most revealing aspect of this accidental experiment. Mental health professionals noted that people exhibited withdrawal symptoms remarkably similar to those seen in addiction recovery. Phantom notification syndrome skyrocketed, with people constantly checking phones that couldn't connect to anything. Some individuals reported feeling physically ill from the disconnection. Parents discovered their children had no idea how to entertain themselves without screens. Many families ended up playing board games for the first time in years, having conversations that weren't interrupted by notifications, and actually looking at each other during dinner. Some parents later described it as accidentally rediscovering their own families. The outage also revealed the hidden infrastructure of modern romance. Dating apps went dark, leaving people make plans through text messages and, shockingly, phone calls. Many reported feeling nervous about communicating without the safety net of being able to look up conversation topics or verify information instantly. Emergency services learned valuable lessons about backup communication systems. Police departments that relied on cloud-based dispatch systems had to revert to radio communications they hadn't used in years. Some officers had to dig out paper maps because their GPS systems couldn't function without internet connectivity. What made this event particularly fascinating was how differently various age groups responded. Digital natives, people who had grown up with constant internet access, showed the highest levels of distress and disorientation. Meanwhile, older adults who remembered life before the internet adapted much more quickly, often remarking that the day reminded them of simpler times. The business world took notice in a big way. Companies realized just how vulnerable they were to internet dependencies they'd never fully considered. Many organizations began developing analog backup systems for the first time in decades. Some businesses discovered they couldn't even unlock their own buildings because their security systems required internet connectivity. Educational institutions learned that an entire generation of students had never developed research skills that didn't involve search engines. Teachers improvised lessons about using encyclopedias, conducting interviews, and finding information through human networks rather than digital ones. The outage lasted approximately 6 hours, but its impact stretched far beyond that single day. Tech companies invested billions in creating more robust backup systems. Governments began developing policies for internet emergency scenarios, and individuals started questioning their relationship with digital technology in ways they never had before. When connectivity was finally restored, something interesting happened. Instead of immediately diving back into their usual online behaviors, many people reported a period of hesitation. The experience had created a moment of reflection about how dependent they'd become on constant connectivity. Dine eventually published a detailed report about what went wrong, leading to industry-wide changes in how DNS providers handle updates and manage redundancy. But the company also inadvertently provided researchers with unprecedented data about human behavior in the digital age. Studies conducted in the months following the outage revealed that people who experienced the disconnection were more likely to take digital detoxes voluntarily. Many reported improved sleep quality and reduced anxiety when they consciously chose to spend time offline. Some families instituted regular internet-free evenings as a direct result of their experience during the outage. The event also highlighted the inequality of digital dependency. Communities with better access to offline resources and alternative communication methods adapted more easily than those who had become completely reliant on internet-based services for everything from banking to grocery shopping. This single technical failure became a wake-up call about the fragility of our interconnected world. It demonstrated that our entire modern infrastructure rests on systems that most people don't understand and can't control. The outage served as both a warning and an unexpected gift, forcing millions of people to reconnect with offline reality, even if just for a few hours. The day the internet went dark taught us that our digital dependencies run deeper than we realize, but also proved that humans are remarkably adaptable when forced to be. Sometimes the most valuable experiments happen entirely by accident, revealing truths about ourselves that we might never have discovered otherwise. The question is whether something like this will happen again, but whether we'll be better prepared, both technically and psychologically, when it does.